Fully operational. Fully engaged. On the horn. Hartford. onthehorn.com.
Teachers want redo on evaluations, and governor listens, sort of. Consumer Protection won't pull the license on West Haven pot grower. Lanza's father's interview on The New Yorker. I wish Adam was never born. Watchdog agencies snap at proposal by legislature. Legislators team up to reverse police dispatch consolidation and the political roundup. National popular vote clears first hurdle. West Hartford lawmaker seeks to upend knockout game. Williams testifies against FOI task force bill, and Republican gubernatorial musical chairs. Good evening and welcome to the 118th edition of News Talk Tonight. I'm Dave Moore, your host of News Talk Tonight. News Talk Tonight is brought to you by Amazon.com, Santa's Travel, Sherpa Technologies, Budwitz and Meyer Jack CPAs, Deepwater Seafood of Avon, and CentralCTDental.com. Wherever you are on the World Wide Web, take us along with you. Thousands have listened. You can too. On iTunes, Stitcher, and of course, onthehorn.com. I also need to thank, as always, CT News Junkie, Doug Hardy, and Christine Stewart for allowing me to use ctnewsjunkie.com as my primary news source. And frankly, there is no better news source in Connecticut than ctnewsjunkie.com. And now for the serious and silly 6 Connecticut news. 2 years ago, the state's largest teachers union, the Connecticut Educational Association, helped create the revised teacher evaluation method, and it has now pulled its support from the same. Sheila Cohen, president of the CEA, announced last Thursday that they weren't going to support the new evaluation program. The state has already agreed to delay the implementation of the new evaluation process, as well as the Common Core state standards, both of which rely heavily on students' test scores, and now the governor is listening, at least as much as a politician normally does. Governor Malloy signed an executive order yesterday that creates a 25-member task force to identify the challenges presented by the standards, which would also have an impact on the teacher evaluations. The legislature will hold a public hearing on a bill that would delay the Common Core standards and the new teacher evaluation system. That hearing will be held today at noon in room 1E of the Legislative Office Building. Consumer Protection Commissioner William Rubenstein announced last week that the Consumer Protection Department will not pull the license of Advanced Grow Labs to grow medical marijuana in West Haven, despite the company's manager failing to disclose that he'd lost a similar license in Colorado in 2012. The Boston Globe reported that John J. Jarkowski had a permit to grow marijuana in Boulder, Colorado, but that license was revoked in 2012 after the city had found more than a dozen violations, some of which pertain to the Boulder growers' security or lack thereof. Jarkowski has since severed ties with Advanced Grow Labs, and the commissioner has said that his department's conclusion was that the company was equally misled by Mr. Jarkowski and that the company did what it could to conduct a full background check. At least their license didn't go up in smoke. Peter Lanza has broken his public silence about his son in an interview with Adam Solomon published on Monday in the New Yorker magazine. Lanza, a vice president for GE Financial Services, has largely avoided the press, but as the one-year anniversary approached, he contacted Solomon, who had previously interviewed Tom and Sue Klebold, the parents of Dylan Klebold, who participated in the Columbine massacre. Lanza met with Solomon 6 times for interviews that started in September, and the interviews lasted up to 7 hours. Lanza is speaking to Solomon in part to share information that might help families, particularly the families of victims, and or prevent another such event. Said Lanza, "I want people to be afraid of the fact that this could happen to them." Also, Lanza said, with hindsight, I know that Adam would have killed me in a heartbeat if he'd had the chance. The reason he shot Nancy, Adam's mother and Peter's ex-wife, 4 times was one for each of us. We'll be back momentarily after I pay some bills.
Budwitz and Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz and Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there.
New, now, and loud. onthehorn.com.
News Talk Tonight is also brought to you by Deepwater Seafood of Avon. Have you been to the only fish market in Farmington Valley? Deepwater is located on Route 44 in Avon and is open 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. One of the best things about Deepwater is their fish are fresh. 3 deliveries daily. Yes, that's 3. To meet your needs, Deepwater has a menu of grilled fish items, scampi, fish and chips, soups, bisques, and chowders for your catering needs, authentic paella, cedar plank salmon sides, and always the traditional New England clam bake. It may feel like winter out there, but it's never too late to have a New England clam bake. Deepwater also has the very best shrimp cocktail that you'll find anywhere. Call in your order at 860-676-9657, and they'll have your order ready for pickup when you arrive. Deepwater Seafood of Avon, not just for the halibut. News Talk Tonight is also brought to you by CentralCTDental.com. Doctors Camp, Sambor, and Lupini for serious issues or routine checkups. Go nowhere else. Easy to get to on the Plainville-Farmington line. Call 860-747-5761 or make an appointment online at CentralCTDental.com. There's a new bill being considered by the legislature that has some folks quite perplexed. Last year, 9 watchdog agencies were consolidated into the Office of Government Accountability, and the agencies felt like they were under attack. The new bill would carry consolidations further, much to the shock of some of those agencies. The bill, proposed by the Government Administration and Elections Committee, seeks to combine the hearing functions of various agencies, including the Freedom of Information Commission, the Office of State Ethics, the Transportation Department, the Elections Enforcement Commission, the Judicial Review Council, and the Department of Children and Families, as well as the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities. What is being proposed is a centralized hearings office where hearings of the agencies would be heard by an administrative law judge. The governor's office is not behind the current bill. Yesterday, there was testimony given by 2 lawmakers who are hoping to undo the consolidation of state police functions, particularly the dispatch duties. The Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection started the consolidation 2 years ago to reduce the number of state police dispatch centers in the state from 12 to 5 to create efficiencies. Recently, Troop D in Danielson, Troop K in Colchester, and Troop E in Montville merged their dispatch operations with Troop C in Tolland. Dispatch operations in the western part of the state have already been consolidated. Representative Mae Flexer, Democrat of Danielson, and Senate President pro tempore Donald Williams, Democrat of Brooklyn, both testified against the consolidations, saying that the consolidations have had a negative impact on their constituents. Said Williams, quote, The previous system of local dispatch was not broken, the news fix is not better, and it should be reversed. And now for the political roundup. The National Popular Vote Compact inched forward with a 9-4 vote from the Government Administration and Elections Committee, forwarding the bill to the Senate for further consideration. Under the bill, Connecticut would join 9 other states and the District of Columbia in an agreement that would become effective only if enough states joined, so that 270 electoral votes, those that are needed to actually win the presidency, went to the winner of the popular vote. Representative Joe Varenga, a Democrat of West Hartford, wants to add some punch to the assault statutes so as to try to take out the knockout game. His new legislation would make knocking someone unconscious a Class D felony. In what may be part of his political swan song, Senate President pro tempore Donald Williams testified against a bill that would restrict public access to 911 calls, calling the bill unnecessary, counterproductive, and destructive. Williams was among the first to testify of the Government Administration and Elections Committee, and there was no doubting his strong opposition to the bill on Monday. On Monday also, the Republicans running for governor played a round of musical chairs as Senator Tony Butcher, Republican from Wilton, announced that she was bowing out of the state gubernatorial race, while Martha Dean announced that she is now running for governor. Wow. She did so without saying whether or not she was running as a Republican. The Republican field currently consists of former Ambassador Tom Foley, Senate Minority Leader John McKinney, Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton, Shelton Mayor Mark Loretti, and Joe Visconti of West Hartford. Well, that's the Connecticut or Silly Six for tonight. I'm Dave Moore, and I thank you for joining me on this, the 118th edition of News Talk Tonight on onthehorn.com. The show has been brought to you by Amazon.com, Sandits Travel, Sherper Technologies, Bud Woodson Meyer Jack CPAs, Deepwater Seafood of Avon, and CentralCTDental.com. Please join me next week for another edition of News Talk Tonight, and also join us later today at 8:30 a.m. for the Black Eyed and Blue Show, hosted by the team of Brian Lee and the ever irrepressible Brian Parker. So join me next week for another edition of News Talk Tonight, and remember, try to stay warm as the polar vortex takes its sweet time leaving. Good night.
No! The guys who had to choose between online radio or underwater pole vaulting.
I don't understand what's going on here.
It was an easy choice.
Oh, yeah.
On the Horn. onthehorn.com.